Good morning, I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. Now it's the last Friday of the month, which means that as always, it is time for me to update my Spotify playlist. If you don't know what that's about, every month I choose 10 tracks to be added to a playlist on Spotify that's linked below called My 2019 in Music. The idea being that at the end of the year, I can look back and this playlist will sort of document my musical journey throughout that year. The 5th track of each list is always going to be a piece of instrumental music, and the final 10th track on each list will be a piece of music that has more significant emotional value or meaning to me personally. So let's get started. Track 1 this month is by a country singer called Jepsen and is called Dirt to Dust. It's no secret to those of you who follow me on Instagram that I went to Nashville a couple of weeks ago and had the best time of my life. I absolutely love Nashville and I now want to move there permanently. But yeah, it kind of introduced me to the world of country music in a way that I hadn't appreciated before. In the UK, country music is enjoyed a lot of the time, but almost always from a sort of novelty or ironic perspective, and it's amazing visiting Nashville and realizing that this is actually not just some novelty thing, and it's a really, really important musical movement that's been going on for years and years and years and years and years. So I basically, I'm a massive country music convert now, and Jepsen was recommended to me as something to listen to as more of a kind of introduction to certain aspects of country music, and it's such a good song, and everything that is high-level Nashville country music is mixed so well. The songwriting is brilliant, so it just feels like a perfectly formed song, and I absolutely love it, and I think you should too. Track number 2 is by the wonderful Carly Rae Jepsen and is called Real Love. As I've mentioned before, I love Carly Rae Jepsen, although I will admit that I've never been quite as captivated by any of her work as I was with her album Emotion. But anyway, she released her brand new record Dedicated the other day, and this was probably one of my favorite tracks, if not my favorite track on the whole record. So yeah, I've got to include a little bit of Carly Rae Jepsen synth pop on the playlist. Track number 3 is by an indie dream pop duo called Jadu and is called Galaxy Surfing. Now, a few months ago, I went to my good friend Nick's baby's naming ceremony, which is basically like a christening for atheists. So that was a lovely, lovely experience. He's got a very, very cute child. But unbeknownst to me at the time, one of the other people at this naming ceremony formed one half of the indie dream pop duo Jadu, and I found this out a few weeks later when Nick visited me in Cardiff and he told me about them. So I obviously immediately listened to their music on Spotify, and it's really, really good. There's a really unique production style to it. It's somewhat reminiscent of certain aspects of other indie artists on Dirty Hit, so people like the Japanese House, but it definitely doesn't sound like them. It's just some of the production is similar in the way that it's weird and different. So yeah, really interesting, unique and distinct production styles, and I find the vocal styles are also really, really good on this because they're a duo and they both sing, but unlike a band like Oh Wonder where they're always singing at the same time, Jadu often seem to split this up, so one of them will sing one verse and then the other will sing the next verse, and then they'll both sing in the chorus, and it just works really well. It creates a nice sense of separation between the two singers, and yeah, Galaxy Surfing is easily one of my favorite tracks of theirs. So yeah, that's track number 3 on this list. Track number 4 is by Angels and Airwaves and is called Rebel Girl. The most recent single from Tom DeLonge fronted space rock band Angels and Airwaves. I would be remiss if I didn't include this on the list because I've been a huge fan of Angels and Airwaves for quite a long time. They're not a band I feel I mention frequently enough on this channel, but I've been listening to them for years, and there was definitely a point in my life, it was probably like a year or two before I went to university, where I would listen to their music, you know, at least once a day most of the time. I absolutely loved it. And yeah, it's great to finally have some new music from them, and it's exactly what you would expect from an Angels and Airwaves single. Their style is fairly distinctive, and they've kind of just gone with that with this going forward, and I'm just really excited to see what happens next. Track 5 on the playlist this month is by a bit of a really is an artist called Thomas James White, and the track is called Switzerland. This playlist is documenting my musical journey, and if my musical journey also involved releasing my own music, I feel like I would be foolish to not include it. Yeah, I released it on the 10th of May. Thank you so much to those of you who have been supportive and listened to it and streamed it and all of your kind words. It's really, really nice to hear that you liked it so much. But yeah, track 5 on this list, nice piece of ambient instrumental music, is Switzerland by me. Following on from that, track number 6 is by The National and is called Oblivions. Now, Of course, I love the National. I've mentioned them before. They were in last month's playlist, and their new album came out about a week or so ago. It's wonderful, it's interesting, it's brilliant, and this track is one of my favorites from there. I love the fact that there's a male and a female vocalist, and their voices intertwining in the different sections is great. The strings that come in are absolutely gorgeous, and it's just a quite a heart-wrenching song, but a very, very good one. So that's track number 6, The National Oblivions. Track number 7 is by a singer and pianist on Erased tapes called Douglas Dare, and is called Darling. Now, this is one of the tracks that was released on what was originally a Record Store Day exclusive box set from Erased tapes. It was a compilation of tracks from artists on that label. The box set was called 1 + 1 = X, I believe. This song is absolutely haunting. His vocal styles are really interesting, and especially this track in particular, because I believe this was all just one live take that went all the way through, but it's got this really cool sort of tremolo effect going on his vocal. And the recording, I don't know if it was the microphone that they used preamps or whether or not this is all just plugins that they used on his vocal chain afterwards, but it sounds really, really cool. It's like a sort of radio mic style thing, but there's this stutter going on. Like, it's really, really well produced. It sounds amazing. But the song itself is actually really quite harrowing from a lyrical perspective. I didn't pick up on this until the very end of my first listen to it, but it's basically giving a painfully emotional account about being by the bedside of either a dying loved one or a recently dead loved one in hospital. And yeah, the lyrics are just wonderful, and the delivery of them is so good as well. So this is a real gem of a track. It's quite long, and like I said, it kind of hits you in the heart a little bit when you're listening to it, but it's a good thing. So yeah, that's track number 7, Darling by Douglas Dare. Track number 8 is by one of my favorite groups, KIASMOS, and is called Zebra. Also taken from the 1 + 1 = X Erased tapes box set. This is a rare KIASMOS track that actually has a lead vocal line going on through it as well. Vocalist Honey Eggleston features on this track, and it's really interesting hearing KIASMOS stuff with vocals put in, but the production is, as always, absolutely superb. It's a bit more fast-paced and kind of, it feels rushed, not in a like bad way, not like they rushed the process of making it. It's just at a bit of a faster tempo than you'd potentially expect KIASMOS to sound, but when the beat first sort of drops, it's just so smooth, and the transition works brilliantly. It's just great. KIASMOS are great. They are the kings of ambient techno. The penultimate track, number 9 on this list, is by Keith Urban and is called Horses. Obviously, more music inspired by my recent trip to Nashville, but similarly as with Jason Aldean, this guy is a country music megastar, so all of the mixing and the production is absolutely top quality, and the songwriting is so good. And an interesting little thing I noticed for any Owl City fans out there, but the vocal hook in the chorus is pretty much identical to the vocal hook in the chorus of New York City from Cinematic. So yeah, compare the two if you want. It's quite interesting. Anyway, yeah, this is a great track to listen to if you're walking to Tesco Express alone at night one day because you forgot to get milk and you're feeling a bit down. Right, that brings us to the final track 10 on this list. And I know that I have said before that this is always something that has significant emotional meaning or impact for me. That's actually really difficult to think of something every single month that is like a really significant song. And this month, what I thought I would do instead is choose something that is significant, but for kind of a different reason. So track 10 this month is by a band called Influencers Worship, and is called Just the Cross. Now, as you no doubt gathered from the title of the track, and probably the band as well, they are Christian, and this is a kind of Christian song. So if you aren't interested in that, then that's fine. But over the last couple of months, I've been introduced to a few of the members of Influencers Worship because my very good friend and old housemate Dav mixes their music, and I actually spent some time with them when I was in Nashville most recently. And this was the lead single from their debut live album, Just Across, which came out a couple of weeks ago. It's a great album, and this is definitely one of my favorite tracks from it. And if you're not interested in Christian music at all, then if you listen to it, hopefully you can at least appreciate the songwriting and the atmospheres that have gone into it, as well as the very good mixing. So there you have it. Those are the 10 new additions to my 2019 in music playlist. I would love to hear what music you've been listening to over the last month. If you have any cool new bands or songs that you think I should check out, let me know all of that down in the comment section there. And as always, in the description there'll be a link to the Spotify playlist, as well as links to my own music on Spotify and iTunes, and a link to order a copy of Her, my debut instrumental EP, which was released on vinyl. All of that information is down there in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will see you very soon.